Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, it's a new phase of Operation Lafia Dole as Nigerian Army begins de-radicalization of captured and repentant insurgents in the northeast. Experts from the WHO obtained samples from a child suspected of poliomyelitis in Cross River State for confirmation. Our focus tonight shifts to the Judiciary in continuation of our 2016 review. And Gambian Army Chief backs President Yahya Jammeh amidst rumor of the President-elect's well-being.
And on business news tonight, Finance Ministry to reverse withholding tax plan on building and construction activities in the country.
On sports news tonight, Africa's best in football for the year 2016 set to be honored in Abuja tomorrow at the 12th edition of the prestigious CAF Awards.
And from Abuja, I'm Linda Akibe. INEC to prosecute staff accused by the EFCC of collecting bribe from politicians during elections.
We begin tonight with an update from the Nigerian Army, which says it has commenced the process of de-radicalizing repentant Boko Haram members. This announcement was part of the weekly briefing of the Army's mop-up operations in the northeast. Addressing newsmen in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital today, the theater commander of Operations Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo, listed the successes made in the past week.
And their commanders that we've captured, we felt we should show you. We need to show them to you.
This lineup at the weekly press briefing of the Nigerian Army on its Operation Lafia Dole activities in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, is not of suspects, but repentant Boko Haram militants.
The fact that these ones have surrendered, and of course those who have also captured, and some process of de-radicalization has started. That, in my view, is an understanding that when the process is taken through its full course, that they will become responsible citizens. I have no reason whatsoever to doubt the sincerity of these young men. And I believe that everyone needs to also be given a chance.
One by one, they share their experiences about life on the other side and how things are now.
I take this time to tell to my people right there in the bush that because when they are there, they do not think that Nigeria Army, if they came and surrender, they will not be killed because of the situation they are facing. Because the leaders that they are there, they already deceived them.
The theater commander, Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo, also speaks on individuals who are under investigation for collaborating with the sect.
Arrest of the chairman. Yes, is the chairman of Mafa local government. You're very right. The true position is that, yes, of course, we have him, taken into our custody because he harbored one Boko Haram terrorist along with the father. The same goes for the vice chairman. I want to believe when you say vice chairman, there's nothing to hide. Is Kaga local government vice chairman? You're right. Yes, of course, he's also been taken into our custody. We're doing the preliminary investigations. The outcome, of course, we'll let you know.
These young men now have an opportunity to live free from violence. But what will be important to see is how and if the society they once destroyed accepts them to begin a process of rebuilding.
Meanwhile, officers of the 28th Task Force Brigade in Adamawa State, northeast Nigeria, today foiled an attempted suicide attack in Bakindutse village, Madagali local government area. According to the Army Public Relations Officer of the task force, Major Akintoye Badari, soldiers who were patrolling the area cited 3 suspicious females trying to gain access to the village. He says all 3 were killed today by the soldiers at about 6:15 a.m. Major Badare gave an assurance that everything is under control and commercial activities in the village have not been disturbed. 5 suspected cultists were shot dead after a gun battle with troops from the Nigerian Army in Rivers State early this morning. The general officer commanding 6th Division, Major General Kasimu Abdul Karim, who confirmed this to journalists, said several rifles have been recovered from the hoodlums. Eyewitnesses say the army responded to a distress call in Omoko community. The suspected cultists had stormed the area. Away from security issues, 2016 was very eventful but controversial for the Nigerian judiciary. Perhaps the most controversial event of the year was the arrest and trial of some judicial officers on allegations of corruption. In continuation of our recap of critical sectors in the country, our judiciary correspondent Shola Shoyele looks at some of the activities that shaped the judiciary in the year 2016.
It was on October 7, 2016 that the unprecedented happened, in a move that appeared to shock the major stakeholders in the judiciary and indeed the nation. Operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, raided the homes of some judicial officers. The DSS alleged that it recovered over 270 million naira from the homes of these judges, and 2 of those judges are currently on trial on allegations of corruption. A 3rd judge, whose house was not raided, Justice Rita Ophelia Jumagobia, was also arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for allegedly collecting a 5 million naira gratification from a senior advocate of Nigeria, Godwin Obla. Both of them have also pleaded not guilty, and trial is expected to commence shortly in all of these cases. Besides these judges, 10 others were disciplined by the National Judicial Council (NJC) in September 2016 under the leadership of the then Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed. All these judges were disciplined for various acts of professional misconduct. Also in the year, Justice Mahmood Mohammed retired after clocking the mandatory retirement age of 70. And in November, President Muhammadu Buhari swore in the next most senior justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Walter Onogen, as the Chief Justice of Nigeria in an acting capacity. There was also a change of leadership in the bar. In an election that was conducted for the first time via electronic voting designed to guarantee universal suffrage, a former Kano State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Abubakar Mahmood SAN was declared winner of the Nigerian Bar Association elections. In the year 2016, Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo SAN inaugurated the National Prosecution Coordination Committee, a committee primarily charged with the handling of high-profile cases with public interest elements. However, in spite of the efforts of this committee, that of the EFCC and other agencies with power to prosecute criminal cases, the problem of delay in the process of justice delivery still remain largely unresolved, as none of the corruption-related cases commenced since President Buhari came into power has been concluded. The high-profile cases still pending in court include those of the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, the pension scam fraud, the Central Bank of Nigeria currency scam, and the arms purchase scam. Perhaps the only high-profile case concluded in 2016 was one filed in 2010 by the EFCC against Raymond Omasheye, a former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. That judgment is currently being appealed. 2017 comes with renewed hope that the judiciary will put behind it the controversies of 2016 and restore fully the confidence of Nigerians in its ability to do justice freely and fairly. Shola Shoyele, Channels Television News.
Joining us for the review now is legal practitioner Destiny Takon. He joins us live on the News at 10. Thank you for coming here tonight. Let's begin with your assessment of the judiciary in 2016. How would you say the sector fared?
Thank you. The judiciary, like in the years past, and has always been or supposed to be, is the last hope for the aggrieved, for the common man. And looking at what has happened and what happened in the country, especially in the immediate past year, I, as a legal practitioner, I have to be taken aback, especially given the turpitude, of legal activism and the extent to which decisions were reached. I recall vividly in the immediate past, landmark decisions and lots of election results overturned in all over the country. So much didn't happen in 2016 in that direction, which I think was a bit more like a retrogression, as against moving forward. And then, of course, the conflicting judgments, between the judge decisions of the Court of Appeal, and also, of course, the things that happened with the judiciary, the arrest of Supreme Court judges by the DSS. Now, I'm not supportive, and I don't think any right-thinking Nigerian would be, that we should allow errant judges, as I chose to call them, to go on having a field day. But I have issues with the judiciary. Just is one of three constitutionally recognized arms of government. I mean, as between the executive, you have the judiciary, and then, of course, the legislature. And there is a constitutional framework for dealing with errant judges. So to have DSS, whose constitutional responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, is not to deal with, that was not a state security matter. The EFCC was there, the ICPC was there, the police were there. We should do the right things for the right reasons, and that's what I always prefer. So to have the DSS, arrest judges, it was more like doing the right thing the wrong way.
Yeah, and it seemed the opinion was divided.
Yes, definitely, and that's my take on it. Yeah,
especially coming from legal practitioners such as yourself. Yes, in that report we saw that a lot of cases were left were not concluded in 2016. Despite the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, what do you think could have been done differently in 2016?
Oh, well, so much as it were, I say that the legislature is the bastion of hope, as it were, for the common man. I expected to see, especially coming from the arrest of the judges, lots of things happened. I recall that now, if you had, a lot of legal practitioners will tell you, you have a matter involving the EFCC for as simple as a procedural process like bail. Lots of judges turn down, applications for bail. Either I begin to wonder either that they are not as independent-minded as it should be, or they're just spineless, or that the fear of reprehension from above. So I expect, and I expected in 2016, more activism, as I said, as we saw in the years past, judges having to, as we say, do justice and let the heavens fall. It doesn't matter. The judiciary is a separate arm of government. So long as you do justice according to law, it doesn't matter who is involved or who has interest in the matter. And that's how it should have been.
Thank you so much, Mr. Destiny Takon, for joining us tonight for the review of Judiciary in 2016.
My pleasure.
In part two, after the break, the federal government dismisses reported case of polio in Cross River State, says child is suffering from clubfoot. Do join us again.